Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi.
You know what they say. The loudest ones in the room always have the most to hide. Sunny Hostin has made a whole career out of sitting on that view panel, wagging her finger at everyone under the sun, talking about corruption, accountability, and how black women need to be protected from powerful men. But what happens when the moral preacher gets caught in her own scandal?
The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases.
Well, the FBI might just be holding Sunny to her own standards because the streets are saying they've issued an arrest warrant on her after allegedly discovering several million stashed away in black money, money she has no business having. Now, if you've ever watched The View, you already know Sunny loves to act like the smartest person in the room, always pulling out those legal credentials to talk down on everybody else. But what makes this whole thing even juicier is that Sunny's been out here criticizing people like Donald Trump and Clarence Thomas for shady finances. And now she's out here allegedly hiding bags of dirty cash like some mob wife from a Netflix crime series. So let's get into this. For years, Sunny Hostin has been a familiar face on The View, a sharp legal analyst, best-selling author, and outspoken commentator. She's built a career on dissecting high-profile legal cases and delivering incisive social and political commentary. But now the very legal system she once upheld is threatening to dismantle her world. But how did we even get here? How did this self-righteous Sunny Hostin, who never misses a chance to preach accountability, find herself tangled up in the same kind of legal mess she's been calling out on TV? Well, the whole saga started with Emmanuel, Manny Hostin, Sunny's husband, an orthopedic surgeon who's been quietly running his private practice since 2006. But according to a federal lawsuit, Manny hasn't just been helping patients, he's allegedly been helping himself to some extra cash on the side. Manny is one of 200 defendants named in a massive federal insurance fraud case, but what makes him stand out is that he's being accused of personally pocketing kickbacks for performing surgeries and fraudulently billing insurance companies. And not just any insurance companies. We're talking about American Transit Insurance, the same company that primarily uses Uber, Lyft, and taxi drivers in New York. According to the lawsuit, Manny knowingly provided fraudulent medical services, including arthroscopic surgeries, and billed American Transit for treatments that either never happened or were exaggerated, all in exchange for secret kickbacks disguised as dividends or cash payouts. Of course, Manny's legal team is out here denying everything, calling the whole lawsuit a scattershot meritless attack from an insurance company trying to avoid paying what they owe.
And Sunny and her husband, they are fighting back. They've hired legal eagle Mark Garagos to help them fight this case, and they're claiming that this is completely...
But here's the thing. These kinds of cases don't just pop out of nowhere. The feds don't start sniffing around unless there's smoke somewhere. And if they started looking into Manny's finances, it's only natural they'd end up peeking into Sunny's accounts too. Even Gutfield hinted at Sunny's involvement in the corruption, and we know how closely he monitors cases like these.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say in The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright.
That's where things really started falling apart, because once the authorities dug into the Hostin family's money trail, they allegedly stumbled onto millions of dollars Sunny couldn't explain. And now the same woman who's been screaming about justice and corruption on national TV might just have her own skeletons to answer for. If the allegations are true, then Sunny's whole moral high ground is crumbling right before our eyes. And the worst part? She can't even blame her husband entirely, because those millions allegedly hidden away, they ain't coming from orthopedic surgeries. That's her own little stash. But wait, Sunny has been defending her husband with full force. In a statement to Entertainment Weekly, Sunny slammed the frivolous civil lawsuit against her husband and approximately 200 other doctors. In an attempt to poison the well of public opinion because it does not have a valid case against my husband, American Transit instead used my celebrity status to start a disgusting media smear campaign against my husband, which included me and our children, she said. They plastered pictures of our family all over tabloid publications. American Transit is harassing me and my family in a frantic attempt to not pay its bills. Our family will not be intimidated and harassed. We remain unbowed. In addition to that, Sunny resorted to publicly insult American Transit, saying, "Insurance companies like American Transit make an already broken healthcare system nearly impossible for Americans to navigate and get good healthcare by engaging in despicable tactics like harassing doctors." Let me be clear, where I come from, American Transit will receive a PhD from FAFO University. But the drama doesn't stop there, because word on the street is that the FBI's been keeping tabs on Sunny for a while now, and the only reason this is coming out is because the walls are finally closing in. So the question is, how long has Sunny been playing this double game? And how deep does this rabbit hole really go? Well, it looks like the rabbit hole is going really deep because Sunny is trying to play the celebrity defamation card here. And we know when people start playing that card, it's a dead giveaway that stakes are high.
They're also claiming that the company and their counsel, they're using Sunny's celebrity on The View to harass family and launch a public smear.
Now you might be wondering, why is Sunny even getting dragged into her husband's mess? Isn't it his case, not hers? Well, here's the thing. Sunny isn't just some clueless wife standing on the sidelines. She's literally a lawyer. This woman has spent years schooling everyone on what's right and wrong. So don't tell me she didn't know what was happening under her own roof. And if that's not enough proof, Sunny snitched on herself without even realizing it. There's an old clip floating around where she straight up admitted that her husband used to perform procedures on patients who didn't have insurance.
Operates on someone even though they don't have insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do. So there.
Now, connect the dots. The lawsuit literally accuses Manny of scamming insurance companies and running a whole kickback scheme. And here's Sunny casually dropping hints that he was doing procedures on people without proper paperwork. So what does that tell us? She knew exactly what was happening this whole time, and she did nothing. But the worst part? Now that the scandal is out, she's going out of her way to defend him, flipping the whole feminist script and suddenly acting like the loyal wife who stands by her man. Convenient, right? But here's where things get even messier. Because if there's one thing Sunny Hostin loves to preach about, it's how America is built to oppress people like her. She's been writing the narrative that black women, especially those like her, are victims of systemic inequality.
She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures. And look at her track record. How many times has she had to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology?
And ever since Trump took office, she's been on a mission to paint the country as a dumpster fire, throwing shade at every policy and social issue under the sun. But as Megyn Kelly pointed out, Sunny's whole victim narrative crumbles under the weight of her own lifestyle. While she's up on The View crying about inequality, she's been living it up in multi-million-dollar properties and rubbing elbows with the very elite she claims are holding people like her down.
This is Sunny Hostin's home in this country that she can't stand, that doesn't treat black people like Sunny well. She let People magazine feature her home. Look at this dump. This country. She went to Notre Dame Law School. She makes millions on The View. Her son's at Harvard. I'm sure her daughter's at private school on her way to some Ivy League. This is where Sunny lives. And America, I can't stand how you've kept us all in chains. That's her.
It's the kind of hypocrisy that makes people's blood boil. Because let's be real, when you're allegedly stashing away millions in secret accounts and your family is allegedly involved in shady business, you're not exactly the voice of the oppressed. You're part of the privileged class you're constantly bashing. And the worst part? Not a single dime of accountability is in sight.
Twice a day.
Here's all I hear from her. America's violent. America's racist. America's bad. Okay.
And guess what? This has long been Sunny's favorite role. She's literally as woke as they come. But now that the lawsuit is dropped and she's under scrutiny, she's doing a complete 180. Suddenly, the same woman who has spent years tearing down traditional gender roles is out here bragging about how dependable her husband is.
It's very helpful that he's handy, and when we travel, I'm not picking up any bags. He's the one that's hefting them overhead. He throws the garbage out. Right. He does the heavy.
For those who are out of touch, this is what she used to say about conservative women on The View. She literally claimed that white women only fall in line to support their husbands.
I think that women, white women in particular, want to protect the patriarchy here because it's to their benefit. Yeah. They want to make sure that their husbands do well. They want to make sure that their sons do well. They want to make sure that their children do well.
Oh, the irony is delicious with this one. Sunny Hostin has been out here preaching the gospel of wokeness for years, dragging anyone who dares question the movement as ungodly. Remember when she sat on The View with her chest out, calling conservatives evil for criticizing the term? According to Sunny, being woke is nothing more than caring about others, but the way she's been weaponizing that label to act morally superior has always rubbed people the wrong way. At one point, she said, "I have thought about a conversation you and I have had so many times about the co-opting of the word woke and the fact that the right somehow has made it a dirty word. To be woke is a word that came out of the African American community, and it's about acknowledging social justice and equalities, acknowledging people's suffering. It is not a bad thing to care about other people, to care about the suffering of others, and to act upon it. My parents grew up in the civil rights movement. I grew up in the late 60s, 70s, and I was always a part of it. So I've never been asleep. You don't care about the oppression of the disabled. You don't care about the oppression of immigrants. You don't care about your fellow neighbor," she continued before adding, "and that is ungodly. That is not Christian." But now that the skeletons are rattling out of her own closet, suddenly she's not as vocal about holding people accountable, especially when the accusations are pointing right at her own household. And if the lawsuit wasn't enough to knock Sunny off her pedestal, the streets are talking. And they're saying that her so-called perfect marriage is on the rocks because of it. Insiders claim the scandal has completely shaken their 26-year marriage, with Sunny barely keeping it together behind closed doors. An insider revealed, Sunny used to brag she had it so good, the perfect family, a loving husband, and a luxurious lifestyle that her job on The View and his practice afforded. But this scandal has knocked Sunny off her stride. She may have some explaining to do to the ladies on The View, and they might be catty enough to bring it up on the show. The tea spiller added, Sunny is stressed out on both the home and work front at a time when she was doing so well. This is a dark cloud hanging over her. All she is doing is burying her head in the sand. It's almost poetic. The woman who spent years acting like she was better than everyone else is now facing the exact kind of scrutiny she's been dishing out. But the question is, will she survive it? Or is this just the beginning of the Hostin household's downfall?
She's, I think, a person that says some of the most horrible, vile, insane things in all of television.
Sunny Hostin always loved playing the role of the moral authority on The View, constantly throwing shade at conservatives whenever they found themselves in legal trouble. And with her background as an attorney, she made it a whole performance, serving up sarcastic one-liners and self-righteous lectures every time Trump's legal battles made headlines. Fox News contributor Joe Concha commented saying, Sunny Hostin will only look more foolish when she pontificates about ethics and morality and the rule of law. But now that her own husband is allegedly tangled up in federal insurance fraud, Sunny has suddenly lost her appetite for accountability. Funny how that works, right? Insiders at ABC are already whispering that the scandal has become a huge deal behind closed doors, but the network is trying to sweep it under the rug. And what's even messier is how Sunny hasn't addressed a single word of it on The View. The same woman who never missed a chance to rip into conservatives is now dead silent when the heat is on her. It's been discussed internally, but no one is sure what to make of it. It's pretty hypocritical. The controversy had become a big thing at the network. It's death by 1,000 cuts. This is just another thing to make people not trust The View and not take them seriously. And that's exactly why people are starting to turn on her, because this whole thing is just another example of how The View preaches one set of rules for everybody else, but refuses to apply those same standards to their own. But here's the question everybody's asking. How long can Sunny stay quiet before the pressure becomes too much to handle?
The Sunny Hostin that we all love from one of my favorite shows on The View. And it's always, Tom, what'd you always say? It's always the people that always do the pointing. And it always comes back.
It's honestly hilarious watching her try to wiggle out of this one because she's finally getting served a plate of her own medicine, and she can't handle the taste. What makes this whole situation even worse is that she's still trying to paint herself as the victim. There's been zero apology for how she's slandered people on national TV. No accountability, no self-reflection, nothing. Instead, she's doubling down, playing the stand by your man card like we're all supposed to forget the years she spent dragging other women for doing the exact same thing. The truth is, Sunny Hostin built her whole brand on calling out everyone else's mess, and now that the mess is piling up at her own doorstep, she's suddenly gone radio silent. Well, Sunny, if you're gonna dish it out, you better be ready to take it, because the same audience you spent years brainwashing into believing you're some kind of moral authority is finally starting to wake up. And the question everyone's asking is, when is The View going to make Sunny read a legal note about her own family? It's starting to feel like The View needs to add a whole new segment called Sunny's Legal Notes. Because at this point, Sunny Hostin is turning those forced apologies into a weekly ritual. Just a few months ago, Sunny was left fuming on live TV after she got caught running her mouth about Matt Gaetz, without a single care in the world for the actual facts. She sat there, straight-faced, acting like a whole federal investigation didn't clear Gaetz of any wrongdoing, while she painted him as some kind of P on national television. How could you nominate someone with allegations of CT? She spat out like she was reading straight from the woke playbook. But just some time later, reality hit her hard. Whoopi Goldberg had to literally stop the whole show to make Sunny read out a legal disclaimer, admitting that the Justice Department dropped all charges against Gaetz over a year ago. And if you haven't seen the clip, trust me, you need to, because the way Sunny's whole face dropped when she was forced to choke out those words, priceless.
Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism.
It was the exact same energy as watching someone forced to apologize after talking smack, only because they got caught red-handed. But here's the real kicker. This ain't even the first time Sunny's been dragged for running her mouth without receipts. For years, she's made a whole career out of wagging her finger at everyone else's scandals. From Trump to conservative politicians, acting like she's the final judge on what's right and wrong. But now that her own husband is tangled up in a federal lawsuit, suddenly she's got nothing to say. At this point, the walls are closing in on Sunny Hostin, and the same woman who has built her entire brand on calling others out is now scrambling to protect herself. With the feds allegedly digging into those millions stashed away and the lawsuit exposing cracks in her perfect little image, it's only a matter of time before the truth comes crashing down. Do you think Sunny will finally take accountability, or will she keep playing the woke victim card to save herself? Let us know what you think below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for all the latest tea on your favorite celebrities.